Hi, I'm glad to have you back here at the Watchman's Final Hour. Today I'm going to be talking about the sun flare of biblical proportions. That's the title I gave it after I had this dream between 11 p.m. and midnight on May 25th, 2017. I am at the point where I'm not quite sure which is a vision, which is a dream. I've had some people say there's such things as night visions or day visions. There's others who say there's dreams versus visions. There are times where I've actually woken up and I don't recall having dreamt anything, and I will turn my heart towards the Lord to understand if He had given me anything, if He had shown me anything, and all of a sudden I will have what I believe a vision scroll across my heart in video form, and where there are no pieces missing. You remember everything said, everything is clear as day. And rarely, this is literally the first time I have ever had a dream between 11 and 12, prior to midnight. So it was unusual to me. It was the time we were having waves of energy hitting the earth and from the sun or from other places. Actually, I think there was even some directed from the other side of where the sun is. It wasn't coming from the direction of the sun. But I want to go ahead and read you this dream that I wrote down, as I believe it has to do with maybe what we're coming up to face. And here we go. I was finding myself a spot for the show that we had come to see. My husband and my youngest daughter were there with me, even though I did not see them. I just knew in my spirit they were there. I was aware that they were near me. I hurried to the center of the room where a lady was looking at a couch that looked like it could hold 4 people. I quickly sat to the right side of the couch, and she sat to the left of me. I turned to her as I squished towards the middle in hopes to at least save a seat for my daughter. I noticed there was not much space to the right of me to fit her in. I realized the lady was doing the same, and we were like gloves next to each other. The spacing of the seating was very tight. I asked her if she was saving seats for anyone else, and she said yes. I acknowledged that only one would be able to sit with me since the lady needed a space for one too. I accepted the idea that my daughter would sit with me and my husband would have to sit somewhere else. The next thing I knew, as the show was starting up, it came to a sudden halt as we could not hear any talking anymore. Everyone around me seemed to be quiet in anticipation to find out why this was happening or whether it would come back on, and we would continue. It wasn't long before we were told that all the communication systems had been affected, and it wasn't just this place. We were told that something happened to cause all telecommunication systems to shut down, and we were not the only place hit. They didn't seem to know why. The understanding that it was this Friday night, May 26, 2017, at 11 p.m., came upon my heart. Now, you got to understand what ultimately happened that week was we had a sun flare. And so in this dream, I'm subconsciously realizing in real time that within 24 hours, this sun flare was supposed to hit Earth. So I'm acknowledging, wow, this Friday night, tomorrow night, at around 11 p.m., this sun flare is supposed to hit. And that's when I suddenly remembered, obviously here I am going again, I remembered what was coming. I spoke out loud, projecting my voice over all the people in front of me, that a sun flare had erupted on Monday and was due to hit between 11 p.m. and midnight this very night. This began to stir people up and upset them. I, however, felt glad that it had not affected the electrical grid, because it would have made the plane I was in crash. At that moment, I realized I was in a plane. Now, I was trying to look at this, and I was thinking that how come I was saying that, hey guys, it's going to happen tonight, this very night? And yet I was acknowledging that it was Friday night. So, okay. So I was acknowledging that day was actually the day it was going to happen. Okay. Suddenly the plane lurched and acted oddly. The front of the plane began to tilt forward, and then it took a drastic dive downward and began to take a nosedive, angling to the left as it began its descent towards the earth. I remember feeling fear. The fear of falling, or the feeling of falling, was so dramatic, the pressure against me, and it felt so real. And for one thing, just to let you know, I don't like roller coasters. So this was amazingly real, and I don't know how someone can have such a true feeling of that falling sensation in a dream. I remember, I've had dreams in the past where I've fallen over the side, in a car, and I've never had anything as real as this felt. I tried to talk myself into enduring it, knowing my end would be fast, and that when the plane hit the ground, I wouldn't feel any pain but be in heaven. I didn't scream. I was enduring the feeling of falling and trying to focus on the truth that I would be with Jesus very soon. It went on far too long, even though it was just a few seconds. It just got too much to bear, and so I woke up with my body breathing. I was in a hyperventilating mode. I mean, like, and it was really wild because I can't think of too many other times where I have felt, unless I've had like a major nightmare, But I guess you would call this pretty much a major nightmare. But I woke up and literally hyperventilating, breathing, and it took some moments for me to gain my composure because it was so real. And it's been interesting how oftentimes it seems like these sun flares that have happened have been, between Monday and Wednesday of the first part of the week. And then, in the beginning, it did seem like it took longer for them to hit Earth. And as we've come towards, August, September, I get the feeling that for some reason they have sped up because they'll have a sun flare and literally within 24 hours or so, no more than 48 hours, it will have hit the Earth. Whereas I remember them saying that during this May time frame, that when the sun flare happened, they're like, okay, it's going to hit Friday, and yet it happened on Monday. So I don't know why there's a speed up in regards to what's happening and these scenarios with the sun, but I figured it was quite an interesting, very, very unusual time to have this dream, not only, but to also have, woken up where it was so clear to remember, and I'm, fully involved in this, where I'm hyperventilating when I wake up. But I went ahead and, not long after that, I went to a meeting with someone who was involved with the Streams Ministries. They were coming to our church, and I didn't have a chance to give him my full vision because he had to get somewhere really quick right at the end. But I did ask him one thing. I said, if you have a dream and that the understanding it's the 11th hour and you're in a plane that's going down, that's taking a nosedive. I said, what does it mean? And he said it means that something was about to end. So all I can figure is this. And when I put a heading on this, I said the sun flare of biblical proportions. And I feel like now is the time to face this vision or this dream that God gave me, because by the end of this week, we're coming to a time where they have actually stated that somehow the electric grid is going to be turned off or shut down between the 4th through the 6th of November. I don't know if it's going to be one of those times where it doesn't come to fruition again. Maybe it gets too much exposure, back, what was it, around August 21st when they had the sun eclipse, the same kind of scenario happened where they said they were going to, shut down electricity over the nation in different spots, which that didn't come to fruition. So just be aware. I don't know what's going to be coming on that weekend of the 4th to the 6th. I'm not sure if we'll be raptured prior to that. I'm not sure. We don't know all the specifics. We know that we can warn and say, be ready just in case. But, if it truly is a sun flare coming, and maybe they have technology to know way ahead of time of a sun flare that's actually going to be hitting on that weekend, who knows? We live in such a world of deception. It's hard to really know what is truth anymore these days. And the only way, like I said, is to get before the Lord and ask his clarity and his understanding of what's coming. So I would just like to encourage all of you to stay looking up and to just take one day at a time, trusting the Lord, not having any fear, because when we know him, his hand is there of protection is there for us. His loving hand is covering us. No matter what we have to face, sometimes it's intense times, but we can see that silver lining of God's hand in the middle of it. He cares for us no matter what we go through. So be encouraged and enjoy the next week, and just keep spending time with the Lord and encouraging others to walk in a way that's honoring to God, and be used in those times where God brings those that don't know him across your path, and just plant those seeds. So take care. God bless.